decades, Ralph Scambalori dedicated his life to protecting Guam. As chief of Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, he helped stop illegal drugs before they reached our streets and our families. Today, Guam faces one of the greatest drug crises in history. That's why Ralphie is stepping forward once again to serve as your senator, bringing the experience, integrity, and commitment to keep our communities safe.
Today, I'm Rafael Scambalori, but please call me Ralphie. I respectfully ask for your vote, and I approve this message. Viva Guam.
As your senator, I created and helped pass public policy that prioritized our Guam economy, supported public safety, and ensured government is working for our people. I listened, I responded. In this election, I ask for a vote to continue this work for you. Vote Sean Gumatautau for Senator.
Paid for by Iloy Sean Gumatautau for Senator, William N. Regis, Treasurer.
Good afternoon, Vice Speaker Ada.
Howdy, good afternoon, Troy.
Mr. Calvo.
Howdy, Troy.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, we're glad to be here.
Thank you. Well, let's get started. When you're out and about, you're talking to people and they say, I'm tired of the corruption. What is it that you think that they mean?
Yeah, I think everything that's just going on, right? They look at the state of our island, the finances of our island, the operations of government, the economy, tourism. Just I believe it's everything in general that they're not seeing any benchmarks, right? And whether it be the private sector or government, those are things that are very concerning because naturally when we have budgets the way we've been having the past several years, we expect to have some type of benchmarks to where these have been accomplished over the years or these have been accomplished over the months, and what is it that we're seeing with the money that we're spending overall. And I believe that the folks that are out there and they talk about corruption and as such, it's where are we going with our expenditures? What are we doing to ensure transparency? What are we doing to ensure accountability? Holding folks accountable for what's happening, right? And I think that's what we've been encountering throughout the several months that, oh my goodness, almost a year now that we've been campaigning. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mr. Calvo?
I think that people of Guam just want to believe again and want to hear things from their leaders and see the follow through on what is said. And that's what I've experienced throughout the campaign and maybe even before the campaign, is that there's definitely frustration and people are holding on to hope. And we hope to, of course, be a team that is going to deliver for the people of Guam and follow through on what we say.
Can you describe that frustration and also the hope that you're hearing?
Well, there's a lot of outside forces, of course, that have caused struggle. And, starting with our economy, of course, in terms of our primary industry of tourism and the decline that's resulted in thousands of jobs lost since pre-pandemic time. We have not bounced back. And I think there's just, a lot of people want to see more action, and maybe they can't pinpoint exactly because it's not their job to have all the solutions, but they're looking for the right people to step forward and bring some solutions so they can start seeing things change. And when you see things change in one sector, one important sector of the economy, like tourism, they're going to feel the economy moving again, and more money will be flowing. They'll be able to look at more job opportunities, and that will just only lead to better quality of life. Because at the same time, we have, like many places in the world, higher prices in various areas of your everyday life. So the pocketbook issues are really significant for a lot of families, and that's what we've always known and what we've heard throughout the campaign. So a lot of our focus is in that area.
When you raise the standard of living, I'm hearing you talking about the standard of living, right? The economy, and basically a rising tide floats all boats. Do you feel that will help to restore public trust, or do you think that you need to do other things while the economy is improving in order to improve public trust?
I think it's a balance, right, Troy? You improve the economy, but also you got to improve public trust by, transparency and accountability. And I think it's always important, because I think as long as the people know that work is being done to improve the lives, their lives and their pocketbooks, that they'll see what is happening on our island. That concentration now is being made to improve the quality of life. Concentration now is being made to improve our island. And eventually, we're going to see them come back and say, I'm glad that there's transparency. Now we know that if, for example, Troy, we have funding going to a certain project, and they see that project from start to fruition, and they see the return of investment in that project, then they're going to know that their money is well spent within our budget.
How would they see that in an Ada Calvo administration? What would this transparency look like in your administration?
I'd say, we have to leverage technology to also help deliver on this promise of transparency, because that's often the best way.
Can you explain that more?
Public sector, or especially in the private sector, if you want to communicate anything about your product or service, you leverage technology. You have social media platforms, you have a website that is easy to navigate, that has regular updates and is providing information, and the correct information and timely information.
Like dashboards.
Dashboards is a great tool, and it kind of pulls all the information together and makes it very palatable. But I think that what I've heard, a lot of that information is still difficult to find, and we need to understand your customer base and deliver the information. So that's the first step, and that can only lead to more efficiency, better processes, more timely interaction between the government and the community. And so that's more of a specific example. And I think that's a great place to start for our government.
I like these specific, as many specific examples as you want to give our viewers, please do. I think they'll appreciate it very much throughout this interview. Yeah,
definitely, not a problem.
But, go ahead, sir. You were going to say something?
Oh, no, you were saying the next thing.
Well, I wanted to broach a subject that you already brought up about the right people. You talked about bringing in the right people. How is that going to work when, after your inauguration, your first day in office, who are these right people and how are they chosen? What's the importance of the right people?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Troy, like for example, right? You want to make sure that you got an individual, if they're going to be a director of an agency, that they have the qualifications for that department. You want to make sure that not only do they have the qualifications, but the experience. You want to make sure that they're able to manage folks. You want to make sure that they're able to focus on timelines and not just be a manager, but be a team player. And I think that's what we need to see over the next administration, is that these managers are being team players with their agencies, and not just showing how things are done, but actually getting the things done. And I think the people will appreciate that, because, in the private sector, right, if a manager is not performing, naturally the employees will not perform as well. But if you got a manager that is always constantly, being a team player, that will focus on certain projects and ensure that that project comes from start to finish, then we're going to have the right team in place. And that's going to be throughout the departments and agencies, having those folks on board, like I said, with their education, with their experience, with their management skills, all that interpersonal relationships, because how you talk with not just your employees, right, but also how you talk with the general public, the taxpayers.
Yeah, I think we're already focus more on the structure and looking at some of the ways we can reorganize and have the right focus like any organization. And I'm really taking Senator Ada's lead in terms of his experience in working for the administration in the past on how communications can best work, accountability can be present at all times. And we've been developing our plans for that change. When it comes to people, I think that's paramount. That's probably one of the most important things we can do if given the opportunity to lead. It's about your people, and we have to have the scope of work clear so that we can enforce that accountability, and also bring in the talent. And that's not going to be an easy thing, I think.
How would you choose the talent? How would you choose these? So he basically described what you're looking for in your managers, right? How would you find them?
How? I think we need to search far and wide.
Resumes.
We need our local talent to step up, and we hope to inspire with us running for office, stepping up to serve. We're gonna do our best to inspire others to join us, because that's what it's all about, is building a team that's ready to turn the corner and help us put Guam in the right direction. And it's not an easy task, and I think very difficult for the governor of Guam. I think the job of overseeing so many different facets, so many different projects, that I'm going to do my best to help him with that operation and talent identification. Once you put them in place, you've got to be able to support them. You've got to be able to give them the guidance and resources they need to succeed. And that's management. And
I mean, also those that have left home, right, for greener pastures off island, we hope to, attract them back to Guam and be a part of, making Guam what it used to be, where, it's so lively, so vibrant, where they can raise their families once again.
I don't think it's not some sort of secret that cronyism has taken root in it's systemic to politics and to government,
right.
Especially with administrations and the change of administrations and all the deals that are made between elections and all this stuff, right? And so the public understands that there is a pari system, the pari system that, and maybe it's not throughout the entire cabinet, and maybe it's not every administration,
right.
and it varies between administrations, right? But I think there is a cynicism that the public has. How can you help to correct this cynicism, or how can you assure our viewers that the cabinet that you choose, the managers who you're going to select, are not just part of the pari system and are not rooted in this systemic cronyism that we've got going on? Yeah,
and that's where we said, we put out a call, right? You submit your resumes, you submit your applications, and we go through it, we vet it. Putting the right people into the right places, right? If someone is not vetted properly for tourism and they happen to go there, then that's on us, right? But that's where we want to make sure that these folks that apply, these folks that submit, that they'll be able to we'll be able to place them into the right departments and agencies to lead, or even to be a part of the team there.
Yeah, I think what I said earlier, Troy, about supporting our team and supporting our cabinet so they can succeed, it's about producing results. Okay. And if you're wondering how will people know whether it's someone that I knew from my past or Tony knew from his past, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is, what is their capability and are they producing results? I think the lack of trust comes from the lack of results. And so although we talk about the process of qualification and merit, it's going to come down to even someone who has experience sometimes fails to get the job done in the future. I always say what you've done in the past is the past. And at least it gives you an idea of that experience, but you have to not count on that. It's about what are you going to do going forward, and we give people an opportunity that seem like they're the right person, and we hope to produce results, because that's what the island needs. If that's not happening, we have to make changes. That's pretty common sense and straightforward.
Both of you have private sector executive experience, so
Yeah.
Can you tell our audience how you would apply your behavior in the private sector and your values in the private sector to how would you be as governor and lieutenant governor? And maybe there's no parallel. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk
Oh,
about
very
that.
much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, number one, I pride myself on building teams, and that's what we're talking about just now is understanding how to select talent, how to understand their strengths and weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses, not just strengths. So you have to understand how to work with them and give them that opportunity. And then at the same time, they have to understand the plan, the North Star. What direction are we all heading in so that we're not operating in silos and everyone has their own ideas? And they got to understand the team is the most important thing, accomplishing the team goal versus personal glory. And that's kind of the mindset that I've worked with in any organization I've been fortunate to lead, and it's done well for me. So I'm going to continue to bring that mindset wherever I go.
Yeah, and it's also about customer service, right? Always valuing the customer because they're the ones that produce the income, right? And just like the taxpayer is the one that give their tax dollars, they pay their bills. So naturally, it's going to have to come down to that I mentioned earlier, right? Interpersonal relationship skills, right? They need to learn how to be a part of, put yourself on the other side, right? And say, how would I want to be treated as a customer, right? And that's how we want our administration to be focused on. Sometimes when you call a department or agency and you get the automated phones, it gets very irritating, annoying. We like to see how, let's see, go back to that personal operator. You remember every time you would call public health, there'll be a personal operator that answers the phones and transfers your line. I think that when we start looking at how we can continue to build relationships with the public and the government, then the public will start to feel more comfortable how government is operating, and they'll perhaps even trust government even more.
Governors have been, even the best of the managers of them, right? They've been averse to sometimes holding accountable a certain director who there's public outrage about something, or there are complaints that customers bring up about, or that employees bring up about that director, maybe even a climate of fear, all these different things, right? And governors have been hesitant to hold them accountable to a standard that the public expects, and sometimes it's because they really like this director,
right?
So you're saying all the good stuff, but how are you going to put this into action when you're in office and you come across this crossroads where you're going to have to...
Well, there has to be that...
There
has to be that understanding, right, Troy? When the administration first starts, all these directors and folks that come on board have to have that understanding that, if you're not performing to the standard that we're setting, then naturally you're going to have to be, let go. And it's accountability. It's accountability, because if I have to be accountable to the people of Guam as the governor of Guam, everyone else should be just as accountable, because a director is a reflection on the governor. And we want to make sure that, hey, we're going to work as a team. Absolutely. Governor, the director, we're going to work as a team. But then that director needs to work as a team also with his team and with the taxpayers, the consumers.
How mathematical would the standard be, and the holding to the standard? In your administration, will there be a dashboard that shows us, what are the Ada Calvo standards of conduct for our cabinet in each agency? And these are, I'm just thinking out loud here, what does this look like? What are the metrics?
I'm not sure about mathematical, but there will certainly be a code of conduct and a clear expectation of what the plan is, what the mission is,
and metrics
for every agency, and KPIs. Yeah, absolutely, so that we can check back as much as possible and rely on those within the executive branch to also help us to manage and follow up and follow through on every plan we have within the government. I think that's extremely important, and that's something that Tony has really developed for us in terms of the structure of the executive branch, and I'm really excited to be a part of that.
And there is a platform that you've been rolling out,
Yes.
at least in the issue areas, right?
Yes.
Has it? I have not delved too deeply into it.
Okay.
Does it get into the agencies, or is it just on the topic levels?
It's
so far?
currently on
So
the
far.
topic level so
Yes.
far, and eventually, hopefully, that we'll start delving into the agencies. By separating the agencies of what we're going to be looking at and what we're doing with them.
It's probably more like in a transition
Yeah,
period. Right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said a couple times.
Yeah.
And it got me pretty excited. You're talking about bringing people back.
Right.
It was you who said it, right?
Yes.
A couple times now. We talked about bringing our people back. There are different reasons that people leave Guam, right? Samuel Kim is one of our columnists. He talks about this, all the different reasons that people leave Guam. But one of the underlying causes or currents is they don't feel like they've got an opportunity here anymore, and they also don't feel that there's a level playing field.
Right.
They're not part of the in crowd. They don't have the one up that other people have. You want people to come back. How are you going to resolve that issue that they have with Guam?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to have to work hard at, right? Because already that has been transparent, for many, many, many years, right? We're going to have a different mindset, and both EJ and I have that mindset where we want them to come back. United Airlines was one of those that took many of our folks away and took them to Colorado. And are they still with United? We don't know. But would they like to come home? I'm pretty sure, right? Colorado's pretty cold. And, just like our kids, we would love for them to come back home as well. Raise their families, just like what we've done over the many years. It's about our family. It's about our culture. It's about our island, So that's why we're going to do everything we can to start changing that mindset that, yes, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's go back home. Let's put in and see how we're going to be able to raise our families back home as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it starts with economic development. Primarily, we talk about those who maybe have left the island for their education or for maybe an opportunity for a short term. They're going to look back at the island. They're first going to look at the economics of making Guam their home, and that starts with housing and other costs of living issues that they're going to consider and compare to other places. And then at the same time, they're going to look at what is the opportunity for career advancement, and whether it's in the public sector or maybe in a private company. At the same time, and we're really big on really creating an entrepreneurial boom again on Guam. They're going to look, is that the right environment? Is that the right place where I'm going to have opportunity to bring my idea and potentially build a business of my own? These are all issues and that we're going to address in terms of how friendly the government is working with those startup businesses, how well we can stimulate the housing market. We have a full platform plan called the Homes First Plan to generate more homes than any administration has in the history of Guam. And it's not because we're trying to break a record, it's because it's needed. Right. We have a shortage of homes, and that's what's causing an escalation of prices, almost double since pre-pandemic. Or right. It's just amazing, and we feel it. And whether you're renting, whether you're looking to buy a home, it's something that we need to overcome. So there's a lot of things that we need to change to truly say that we're attracting that talent back home. I think on the flip side, we've got so much going for us. Yeah. Just the family. When you talk about culture, the family is a big part of that, right? And so just knowing you have this environment, this community, family and extended family, all here on island. It's a beautiful place, and I think it's just got the right amount of activity and the right amount of slowdown sometimes. So I think we have so much going for us, and we just need to address some of the issues that are the barriers for young people or maybe even a family to eventually come home and return to our island.
You made a great selling point for someone to come back home, right?
Yeah.
And actually gave me a perfect segue to the second part of this interview, but I have to pause it right there. because I still want to ask a question.
Okay.
Let's pretend I'm a Guamanian and I moved off island 4 years ago, and I'm in Littletown, Maryland. I understand, and I can now make a comparison as I think about coming back to Guam because I want to, and maybe the economic opportunity is there for me now. Right? I have a sense of hope about it because Governor Ada and Lieutenant Governor Calvo they're making me hopeful about whatever, right? But I'm going to compare something, and it's very simple. Okay. In Littletown, Maryland, I'm able to go online on the DMV and get my driver's license renewed for the next 5 years.
Right.
And I'm remembering that I have to get in line at the DMV in Guam at dark 30 and wait in line and waste an entire day. And if I don't want to do that, I have to know somebody. And I hate that about Guam. Mm-hmm. Why would I come back if that's how things still are?
Can I just say something, Troy? Like coming from my perspective, and I think a lot of people share this, we have to get back to a higher standard for the island, and that, you know, whether it's in the private sector, in the community, in my career, in sports, it's a standard that we need to just believe that we deserve better, and we need to strive so that anywhere in the world, you're not going to look at Guam and say that we're so far behind or that we don't have something that others have. That's the chip on our shoulder that we should always carry because it's motivational. And I think that's just an example. I know it's a real example with the DMV. Yeah, we've been there before, but I think overall through our administration, it's about, you know, looking outside and saying, let's raise the standard because there's no reason really, in terms of our access to technology, our access to talent, our ability to, and our willingness to serve and provide good customer service. It's all there. We got to get out of our own way and start, you know, leveling up is what I'd say. And I just wanted to comment on that.
No, absolutely. And that's about improving services, right? Government services to the people. You know, a simple thing like renewing your driver's license. I mean, you can go to a tire shop or a vehicle inspection station, get your vehicle inspected, renew your registration right there, and, you know, wait for the tags in the mail. Perhaps maybe that can be a spot where not only can you get your vehicle inspected, get your registration renewed, and you know what? Oh, my driver's license expired. Can I just take the test here, or, you know, do it online as well? Those are the things that we want to see happen. I mean, we used to have a satellite office down at the Ganya Shopping Center. I'm pretty sure you recall that. And it closed. So we need to see how is it that we can now leverage more technology to do what exactly you're saying. My daughter, she got her California license and she applied for it online. All she had to do is take the test, go and take the test. She came back and her license was mailed to her. So the convenience and the expeditious way of how they do their process is, I mean, if it's already being done, I'm sure we can do it here as well.
Thank you, gentlemen, for talking to me in depth about, you know, how you would restore public trust. Right. And I appreciate your answers. And the direction you've essentially taken was there's going to be a rising tide. Mm-hmm. So, am I getting that?
Yeah.
Am I grasping that?
You're right. I'll say something all the time about trust. It's just built over time by consistent results. Whether it's a relationship trust, whether it's a trust between employer and employee, if you're just delivering that same expected result over and over, trust is built. And it's not, it could be broken very quickly, but it takes time and you just have to continue delivering.
Before I go to the next subject, because I thank you for bringing that up, it made me remember something. When was the last time either of you made a mistake?
I always make mistakes.
When was the last time? What was it?
Yes.
I kind of ramble too much, so I was probably 10 minutes ago.
A specific thing. Where you made a mistake and you knew you were wrong.
And made a mistake and I knew I was wrong.
In any way.
Anything.
Gosh, there's a lot of little ones, a lot of
little
mistakes.
Aim for a bigger one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I'm going back because you're saying the latest time. Whether I'm distracted and don't finish something I said I was going to finish, an assignment, at work or something I told Tony I would get done in time, and so I just try to make up for that and
what give me the example?
Recover.
When did that happen and what was it?
We've been working on our plans a lot, and he asked me to take a look at something. I said, okay, I'll get it back to you. And I said, okay, I got distracted. We're really busy, but I'll get it to you tomorrow instead of today. And I'd say that happened a couple times. And we're just learning to work with each other and have a good.
But you called him up.
Absolutely.
You called him up, and how did you handle it? How did you handle the making of the mistake?
I get what you're saying, and I truly understand. You take accountability, and you say, this is how I'm gonna move forward. This is what my next step is gonna be.
So you admitted the mistake.
Yeah, absolutely, Troy. And you're hitting a point that I preach on in my business. I preach on as a coach. It's called mistake response. Mistake response is everything because they are gonna happen. Right. And to say you're perfect is really, or anyone is gonna be perfect is false. It's what you do about it that matters, and that's how I live.
Yeah. That's one of those that, you acknowledge the mistake right then and there. If you were wrong on something, I've done it many times where I was wrong, and
did you say you were wrong?
I said I was wrong. I apologize, and how can we move forward? And I believe that when you acknowledge it at the time it happens, takes care of the situation immediately, rather than waiting for something to just linger, and then you don't take action on it. So those are the things that a lot of times that you just want to make sure that moving forward, that mistake is not resignated or duplicated into the future. You just want to try and nip it in the butt right then and there.
Gentlemen, can you describe with as much detail as you can the poverty that you've seen in this island and the situations that people in our island, the different situations that people in our island live through?
Yeah, so we the poverty that I see a lot is people handling their loved ones, and I think that a lot of folks don't realize the difficulties that people have when they come to burying their loved ones, right? And working with them to ensure that they have a dignified, a way to bury their loved ones has always been something that, my family and I have always strived for. And looking how we can make them feel more, it's you can't even explain it, right? Because it's so deep with them that they just want to make sure that their loved one is taken care of, right? There's no sense of embarrassment. There's no sense of apologies that are necessary. We try to do what we can to take care of the situation for them and help them. I mean, poverty throughout our island, it's just, and that's just one issue, right? I mean, when you look at our folks, and a lot of them now, where have they been with our homeless situation? And Troy, I've seen it on your news several times. And you've seen folks out there and try to handle the situation of where they came from and what they're doing and how are they getting better. And those are the things that we have to be compassionate about, right? We have to be understanding. And how is it that when we see them on the side of the road, asking for $1, are they going to use that $1 for something else, or are they really going to get, the drink or the food that they're requesting? We just have to take it for face value, but try to do what we can to always help and assist. It doesn't mean that we help and assist to where they're going to be taking advantage, of the people, but more so of how do we help them get out of where they're at.
There are a lot of people in our island who cannot afford a funeral.
There's quite a bit, and we do everything that we can to assist them. My mom and dad, they started the funeral home 54 years ago. And my dad would always say, as long as we can pay the bills, we can pay the employees, and we're good. We can always help. We can always be there to assist. And his motto was, we're big enough to serve, but we're small enough to care. And my mom and dad has always instilled that into us, always looking out to help and to assist whenever we can. And to this day, you know, my mom is, my dad's been, 10 years now. My mom is about 15 years that they both passed. And to this day, we still carry on their tradition of helping and assisting. And that's what we continue to do all the time.
I'd say my experience is along with what we see out there in the growing homeless population, is even with those employed and those that I've worked with that I know they have several other jobs, maybe 2 or 3, depending on how much time in the day. And it's just something that I've always tried to talk to people about, how to overcome that and maybe just look at career advancement and ways that you can continue to earn more, because family is important. Having that time where you're not just going from one job to another, but having that time, because that's what it's all about, is being able to go home to your kids and spend that time and be that mother or father in the household for them. So I've experienced that quite a bit, and I've always done my best with those in my employ, because that's the attitude I've always had in terms of those that want to be part of our organization. We got to be there for each other.
You coached basketball for years, decades, right?
Well, 15 years with the men's national team. I've coached youth before, and it's always just been a hobby of mine and a passion.
What sort of struggles have you seen some of those kids go through?
Oh, the same thing. Because obviously in sports, you work with families and people, kids to adults of all walks of life who love sports, and there's different situations for everyone, and you have to really understand. And so we've always done our best to never make a financial obstacle the reason to hold someone back. And to this day, we had a meeting on this the other day, and I said the same thing is, let's make sure they understand, because a lot of times you see families on Guam of young athletes say, I can't even try because of financial reasons. Said that's not the right approach. You have to try, you have to push your way through, and when it's all going well and you actually get the opportunity, let finances be an obstacle we overcome together. And we've done that. So, and I've been one of the most rewarding things is seeing our young athletes representing Guam, and everyone pulled together with his other parents. We reached out to the private sector and gotten some more corporate support, and even the government has stepped up and helped out at times. And so I understand the struggle. Some sports require equipment, expensive uniforms and facilities. And I'd love to talk more about facilities in the future, because that's something that will dictate a lot of opportunity for people for our community. But definitely that's another example of that obstacle, that financial obstacle that we encounter all the time.
Now, understanding the growing struggle and poverty affecting so many more of our people, how will the Ada Calvo administration marshal the resources of the government and use the bully pulpit of Ada to do something about this, to reverse this?
It's a lot working with our NGOs. How is it that we can improve communications and services that our NGOs provide to the people? Government, and this, Troy, right? Government is not good at handling a lot of things, but at least helping the NGOs to look for the finances, whether it be from appropriations or from grants that are given to the island, and how we distribute those grants appropriately and fairly, so that every NGO, non-government operations or nonprofit are out there that are assisting our people, that we're trying to give them as much tools as we can to provide that assistance that the folks are looking for, whether it be for shelters, for 24-hour emergency shelters, or abuse, violence, things of those natures, that we continue to fund those operations and find the resources with them as well.
How about for the people who are housed or who are not necessarily going through, they're not necessarily as at risk as you're talking about, right?
Right.
But there's the growing population of people who are on the edges of poverty.
Yeah, I think it circles back, and we've already
The
mentioned this a
economy.
couple times, is back to economic development and growth. That's what it's all about, and there's we're not where we used to be, but recovery is obviously the number one priority in terms of survival. If we see more businesses close, it'll only compound the issues that we're seeing in the economy. So recovering is step one, but our administration is thinking big. We need to move past that and really look at the future. When we're talking about the next generation and generation after that, we have to think long term about how we're going to set this in the right direction for economic growth and prosperity, and that will mean more jobs available at higher wages. Costs may continue to rise. We need to do everything we can to mitigate that as much as possible. But it's really about economic development and opportunity, and that's something that is very high priority for us.
Yeah, and you know, Troy, just recently, I'm not sure if you read in the paper that an Oregon company was awarded a $298 million ship repair contract. That could have been our local ship repair companies that could have formed a coalition with each other to win that prime contract. So when you look at that prime contract now being awarded to the Oregon company, that company is going to say, well, you know what, Guam, this is what I'll do. I'm going to go ahead and use you as subcontractors, but you know, you do all the labor. I'm just going to do the papers, but we're going to get dollar for dollar, and you're going to get pennies on the dollar. And that's what we need to change is our mindset here is how can these local companies come together, work together to get the prime contracts for a lot of these federal contracts that are going out, and pay our people higher wages with those prime contracts that they get.
While these opportunities are
opportunities are still out
they may not be
there.
forever.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to face a cliff. I think it's 2030 or something like that,
be,
where federal funding starts to taper down in a significant way. So I'm curious, what are those big ideas that you mentioned? You said we're thinking big here. What are the big ideas aside from the federal contract?
Well, and that's where, you know, the federal contracts, they're going to start to taper down. And this is where now we need to continue to build our economy. We need to build tourism. We need to build not just regular tourism, but sports tourism, ecotourism, education tourism.
Yeah.
And these are the things we need to start thinking outside of the box on how we're going to develop these type of programs to ensure that our island continues to build. I mean, you remember that we used to have a vibrant wedding, couples used to come here for their weddings and such, but now we lost that. And we need to bring that back and start building up on the rest of our tourism and other industries that we can look forward to invest into Guam. But that's what we need investors to come into Guam, but they won't come into Guam until there's a lot of things taken care of. First, the cleanliness of our island, the red tape that goes through when they try to get a business license or permitting. How is it that we can start expediting these processes?
Yeah, Tony and I talk often about kind of those three areas, and I know they all kind of impact our economy, but when it comes to the federal government and maximizing the opportunity now, there will be a continued relationship there that we can foster and for the benefit of our island. When it comes to the rest of other industries, tourism is still the biggest and the best opportunity. We are America in Asia, we are paradise, and we need to continue building on that. And so we're very bullish on these ideas, and we can get very much into detail about things we're excited to bring because we can't waste any time. Right. There's businesses holding on by a thread, and that's hundreds of thousands of employees. We think about them more than anything else, and that's what's at stake. But then when it comes to economic development, what we're referring to, some will call it diversification, some will call it emerging markets and emerging opportunities. They're more of a long-term play, and we'll start small, but the potential is there because of our strategic location, our potential talent base. But it's, when I say long-term play, because you have to build. We're going to have to build on a workforce and a skilled labor force in order to really benefit from those opportunities. But we understand the balance, and that's why we will have short-term plans for all, leading into more of a long-term play, so that everything is sustainable. And you know, I had that experience with Gita for many years. We worked together on some projects. Yeah. You know, Tony has worked in the government, both in the legislature and the administration. Yeah. And we just have to pull our resources. But it's been a great process so far, in terms of us developing our plans and merging our ideas. And I'm just really excited to get started.
Let's talk about one of those projects that we worked on together. And let me ask you, will you be dusting off former Governor Eddie Calvo's Imagine Guam program and bringing some of that stuff back?
You know, Troy, there's just because it's not EJ and I's ideas, it doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
That was a good idea, though.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying, right? We don't put away good ideas. There's many people that put good ideas together, take the dust off, and start looking at them and how we can turn around to revitalize our economy. What is it going to take to, take us to that next step, right? And it's those three things. The economy turns around to create jobs, which perhaps provide higher wages. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to continue to do. And it's working not just it's uniting everyone locally. It's about the administration working together with the legislature so that we don't have this bumping heads every single time. We can agree, to disagree, but let's do it respectfully. And then more importantly, what's going to be the solution? We know what the problem is. What's going to be the solution, and how can we come together to work that solution? Maybe it may not be my idea to say, I want this done, but then they're going to say, well, the legislature is going to come in and would you compromise this? Absolutely. There's ways to come to solutions, and compromise and uniting everyone to come together, to work together, is how we're going to get the job done.
Yeah, I agree.
On the cost and culture side of things, right? I don't think it's very far off for me to say that for at least most people, our biggest expense is housing.
Yes.
So you were talking. You gave me the great segue before, but so I wanted to give you an opportunity to continue. What's this housing plan that you guys have?
Well, it's going to take a variety of action items in order to really make a dent and make an impact long term. But we need to get started, and so there is, of course, the government of Guam funding available to take action and actually develop more affordable homes. There's programs in place already, and we're seeing traction there. And so we want to build on that and continue. At the same time, we need to look at how the government works with the private sector and those developers in terms of giving them the opportunity to also build. And what we're hearing is just the pace is not amendable to really make those investments and really build for the future. Then there's low-income housing tax credit programs that obviously have benefited Guam in the past, and we want to look at more of those opportunities. There's more federal programs. It's a very complex approach because it's so large now in terms of the shortage that it's not like one or two projects and we're good. We need to continue, or at least start somewhere and build momentum to where the pace is such that we see more homes built on an annual basis, and that will continue on towards the future until we get stable again as a housing market. That's really the summary of the plan, but trying to provide a little more detail as we move on.
And when you look at different financing options, right, Troy? I'm working with Guam Housing. What is it that we can do to increase the term, the mortgage term, right? I mean, anytime you can increase mortgage terms from, I think Guam Housing has it at 38 years, if we can move it to 40 years, will that 2 years make an impact in the drop of their monthly payment on their mortgage? The other one is the first-time homeowners assistance. Can we increase that from $10,000 to $20,000? what is it that we can do more so that we can get people into housing? Another one of those things is how can we attract developers here to look at the Chamorro Land Trust lands that we have available that is ready, that we can lay infrastructure down. We have a parcel up in Jigo that we can lay infrastructure down and parcel out the lots so that, you know, we can start putting people onto lots so they can start building their forever home. So all these are plans that, you know, we continue to work and develop and work with the different agencies in how they can help assist not just the home buyer, but also the developers on what we can do to start contributing to. Let's look at the, you know, if we get more developers here, how is it that we can bring down the cost of housing? Because that's going to be the number one hurdle, right? And if there's grants or anything else that's out there, I mean, you got the low-income tax credit program that's going on, but is there one out there that no one knows about that's from the middle class? Because that's what's always missing, is the missing middle. And those are the folks that before COVID, you know, they were able to have, each husband and wife had a job, good paying jobs, they had their own home. Come COVID time, one of them lost their job, or perhaps both of them, and found themselves now in a situation that they've never dreamed of. And how do we bring back that dignity and that respect to that family, saying, I just want that opportunity again to get back into a home so I can provide for my family. And that's what we want to do.
The other big gap that the middle class faces is access to medical coverage. Mm-hmm. Is this something that's on your radar for your administration? And if so, well, what's going to be done about this?
Yeah, good.
So, you know, we continue to look at medical coverage and how we can provide for our people. And first and foremost, we got to stabilize GMH. That is one of the areas that has to be done. And I have a bill that's coming up that will take the uncollected revenues for a tax amnesty, mm-hmm. and take whatever's collected and put it to GMH so they can start improving on the services and things of that nature, right? Because that will not affect the budget. It's not going to come from the general fund. These will be the uncollected taxes from the tax amnesty.
It's a one-time.
Right. Yeah. So if they collect 60 million, then we got 60 million going to GMH, right? And how is it that, you know, we can make healthcare more affordable for our people? We already know that GMH provides healthcare regardless of ability to pay.
But that's expensive.
It's very expensive.
Emergency room healthcare is expensive.
Yes, it is. You know, we pay for it on one end or the other, right? Mm-hmm. Either we start finding a way to get our people the coverage that they need, or we're going to pay for it on the inside by having them not come in to pay, right? So we need to look at how we be able to work with the insurance companies and what can they do for smaller group type of health insurance, right? So if we can get like maybe two companies or three companies together that will make the minimum threshold for coverage, if that's available, and how is it that we can work it for them? Mm-hmm. So at least every family can have health insurance for their loved ones.
You're talking about a scaling, right?
Yes.
In the market, is there something in the law that prevents the insurance companies from grouping those smaller companies together?
I don't think so. It's something to look into, but I don't think there is.
No, I think
anything.
It's more just the critical mass needed to provide that service.
I mean, the scale of the economy, right? It's 170,000 people here, but, you know, when a lot of our folks are, you know, on the high risk, but how is it that we can still try to leverage folks to come together with different groups of companies that, you know, or even individuals, right? How do we have them have that ability to get health insurance? And that's something that we're going to be working on.
Okay. Yeah. Is there some sort of plan that's in action or that is coming about to cover this gap? We're basically talking about private sector workers,
right,
who make more than the Medicaid threshold, right? That's essentially what we're talking about here.
And that's something, right? That the private sector can look at their employees. I mean, if there's, they can provide them with benefits. What kind of incentives can we give these companies that give health benefits?
Okay.
Right? Because if an employee can be covered with their family, that employee is going to be 10 times more productive because he's taken care of and his family's taken care of. And when they go to the hospital, we won't have to worry about whether they have that ability to pay or not because they have the health insurance. But how is it now that we can work on incentives for these companies that provide full coverage insurance for their employees? And that's something that we continue to work on. Yeah.
There's obviously a long list of things to do in an Ada Calvo administration, right? If you were to rank in the list of priorities where addressing this issue of medical coverage, the gap in medical coverage, where would that be in the list?
I think that would be top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Easy top 5.
And I think what we've talked about is when you're talking about top 5 or just, we never really put a number, just top priorities. They don't really come in a order or order of importance. It's it's up to building a team that can address all issues at the same time, because you don't put something off while that's important while you're focused on something else. That's why you have to build the right organization to all move at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I've exhausted my questions. But if there's something that you want to add regarding your plan for addressing poverty, please, the floor is yours.
For addressing poverty.
Yeah. I think, Troy.
But the struggles of our people.
Yeah. It still goes back to working together to build our economy. That's the only way we're going to find our way out of the struggles, right? Is to give our people better jobs, to give them better pays, so that they be able to provide for their families. And is there the opportunity here? Absolutely, the opportunity is here. Because if the opportunity was not here, we won't have this military realignment coming. We won't have all these tourists coming to Guam to visit us. It's how we turn around and we build from that now. How are we going to build from the inside out? And it's all about taking care of our people, because if we can take care of our people, then the product that we produce inside is going to be showing to the outside, and it's going to want more attractions to come to this way.
Yeah, I think I'll just add that, and to kind of comment on, one of the big priorities to me, and whether it's because of the tourism industry or just for the pride of our island, one of the top priorities is cleaning up. I mean, this is our home. And whether it's the abandoned vehicle situation, which is a large undertaking that we will take on, and not accept any excuses, we will overcome it, to just dilapidated buildings, things we drive past every day. And what we can't allow is for our standard to be lowered and for us to become numb to an island that isn't as beautiful as it should be, and that a lot of that is government related, whether it's maintaining the sidewalks and unruly landscaping, is what we call it. But it really just means cut the grass, keep the landscaping looking good, touch up the paint where it's needed, pressure wash the sidewalks. I just can't stand those little stubs from the signs that got cut off on the sidewalks.
The road signs,
and then they leave the little.
They have those little stubs on the sidewalks, or
the liability issues.
The liability issues, but also it doesn't look good. These are the little details, and it is about the details. From the fencing that's falling apart around ponding basins. These are all public properties that we need to set the example. And I truly believe, whether you call it a rotten apple in the bunch, or I talk about the broken window concept, where a broken window and the rest of the neighborhood just kind of follows that trend of I don't need to care for my property, because it kind of spreads, right? We need to turn the tide on that and bring back pride in terms of how we take care of our island, clean up the trash, and become more presentable. Now, I'm saying it's for us, but at the same time, those that visit Guam absolutely it is our reputation, and that's what goes back to the other countries of whether of how they felt about how Guam looks and how safe it feels, and I think that's just a priority that's it's a day one. Just get started.
Samuel Kim, our Kandit columnist, he wrote about this exact topic and exactly what you're talking about and the reasons for it. That's rooted in a whole lot of social science. As a matter of fact, 2 articles ago. I'll send you the
Send
link
it to me, please.
Yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, I need to ask this. This has nothing to do with our interview, but you brought it up, and so I think my cousin Ray Gibson will be mad at me if I don't ask it. You talked about making things a little more presentable. So there is that chain link fence between Kmart and JFK. Are you guys willing to replace that with a bush?
It's gone. Ray, I told Ray, it's gone.
but there's still a safety issue. Are you guys
there is.
Replace it with trees or something? Or?
Whether it needs to be in the middle, sorry, I'm really get excited about this because whether it's in the middle island or along the sidewalks, that could accomplish the same objective of preventing jaywalking is, I think, the main goal. It doesn't need to look like that. I agree with Ray that it should have been changed. And it will be changed.
Okay. Yeah, I think a nicer railing on the side versus the chain link fence right down the middle.
I honestly don't care about this issue, but my cousin Ray loves this issue.
No, he's
been harping on it for years, and so I don't want him to be upset with me for not bringing it up.
I mean, imagine how many times that chain link fence was hit, and then we spend the money to repair it, and then it gets hit again. So instead of doing all that, just remove the darn thing. And let's put up a nice railing on the side, especially on the school side, right? And I think that's where the concern is because the students used to come out of school and then just cross wherever they wanted to. Yeah. And I think if they turn around and open up a walk gate closer towards the crosswalk, that would alleviate the students from coming out of the drive gate and attempting to cross the street there. So that could be one of the other things that the school can look at as well.
I'm sure Cousin Ray is going to appreciate how much you guys have thought about this issue. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask that you look into the camera and now speak directly to our audience and make your pitch to them. And don't forget to ask them to vote for you.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, we'd like to thank Troy for giving us this opportunity to be on Kandit. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the teams that are presented before you, we ask you to go through and look at everything that we've spoke about over the past many months. We've been out there. We talked to a lot of you. We spoke about our plans and how we would like to see Guam in its future. There's a lot of things that need to be done. We need to rebuild our economy. We need to work to improve our jobs. We need to improve our wages on our island. And I believe that we can do it, and we will do it. It's going to be a team of Ada and Calvo to take us through that. And I humbly ask for all your support and your vote in this coming general election.
I've said I believe Tony Ada is the leader that Guam needs now. He will bring people together to get the job done. We have plans to move forward, and that's the most important thing is you set the plans, you recruit the talent, and you hold everyone accountable so that we accomplish the goals that Guam needs to return to its glory days and beyond. I think we're going to be a team that always thinks big, always thinks and puts the people first. This is home, and we're going to make it the best we can, and we just hope to get the opportunity. So please vote Ada Calvo and give us the opportunity to get to work.
Viva Guam!
Vice Speaker, Mr. Calvo, thank you so much, and God bless you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Every trip to the grocery store, I feel it. Every bill that comes in, I feel it. The cost of living on Guam keeps going up, and our families need someone who actually fights for us. Senator Sean Gumatautau gets it. He's working to lower costs, bring better paying jobs to our island, and make health care more affordable for our families. Re-elect Senator Sean Gumatautau for our families, for our future, for Guam.
Paid for by Eloy Sean Gumatautau for Senator, William N. Regis, Treasurer.